And welcome to another video. Today is going to be a news roundup of the news of the last couple of days. I missed making a video yesterday, so we've got a few things to catch up on. So let's get started. As usual, start with the market, sitting at $121 billion, slightly up. I think overall down on the market. I was hoping Bitcoin would break the $3,700, $3,800 mark. We've, as predicted in my head, we've gone down further, partly due to no massive news coming out. Market took a drop yesterday when we were sitting at 3 and it dropped down to 3619. There are some stability points that we can find, I believe, and like I said the other day, $3,800 was going to be a point to break, but we obviously didn't. We went further down slightly. Again, we just need to get above $3,800, and above next will be the 4,000 mark, and then obviously we spoke about 4,500 and then 5,500. Obviously, all of it is still possible, but market's moving sideways now. Volume for a weekday is fairly down. That's not very good to see. And Bitcoin dominance is slightly down, which means money's moving into others. So obviously places like Tether, which is bizarre, is actually down for once. And let's see what's up. Augur, that's up again. That was up, I think 2 days ago. It's up again, so maybe worth having a look at what's going on that project. Wax, we don't hear too much from Wax anymore. It used to be a project in 2018 which had a lot of promising news, and similar with Vault on Chain. Anyway, let's get started, and we'll start with Ethereum's Constantinople delay. So we were expecting this to occur between the 14th and the 17th or 18th of Feb, but the project team have decided to delay this, and that's mainly down to the fact that a smart contract audit firm, Chain Security, flagged Tuesday that Ethereum Improvement Proposal EIP 1283. I went through all the EIPs. I think there's 5 or 6 in a few videos ago, so I'll link it in the description if you want to know a bit more about the actual implementation. I'll continue reading. If implemented, could provide hackers a loophole in the code to steal user funds. Speaking on a call, Ethereum developers, as well as developers of client and other projects running the network, agreed to delay the hard fork at least temporarily while they assess the issue. Now, obviously it's good that they picked this up. Question why this wasn't picked up previously, but obviously we don't want people to loop in, and it goes to explain actually how it works. So imagine that my contract has a function which makes a call to another contract. If I'm a hacker, I'm able to trigger a function while the previous function was still executing. I might be able to withdraw funds. So obviously a bit of a hole there in that EIP. Surprised why I can't continue without specifically that EIP, or whether that EIP needs to link to other EIPs that they were going to implement. But good thing is, obviously they've pulled it. Obviously safety is very, very important. Unfortunately, there isn't actually any date on here when they're going to try the hard fork again, or whether they need to go back to their drawing board with the developers to recode that section of the upgrade. Of course, the price of Ethereum has dropped slightly. I think we were at 151 last week, and obviously we had a bit of a crash, and a lot of this is probably nothing to do with Constantinople, but a lot of the build-up was because of Constantinople. So over 7 days, we did drop massively. Obviously, we knew that on Thursday. That was obviously on Sunday. The news actually broke out on the 15th. So yes, you did see a bit of a drop of $6, which is it's not too bad, but obviously that then has a relation to the actual 24-hour volume and the market cap. So market cap was 13.2 billion, and obviously you can see there 12.6. So that news potentially had some negative effect on the price of Ethereum. But what would be worse is if they did push this through, and then there was a fund stolen from Ethereum, then they would be racing against time to fix that hole. So not necessarily good news, but at least the guys are working on it and they've got a team behind it. So hopefully once they do plan it again, we hope to see a bit of a surge in price again, and this may help us with some other good news, push us out of this bearish market, and hopefully push the Bitcoin up as well in terms of the whole market moves. It's not at the moment just Ethereum moving, so if we can get over that sort of $3,800 barrier, that would be great to see. But I'll keep you guys posted on any news on Ethereum and Constantinople, and we'll move on to the next article. Next article, we move over to Russia and the Prime Minister of Russia. Obviously not Putin, who's the president. So the article reads, "Don't bury crypto over bear market woes." So that's Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. So the article basically talks about the fact that there's been a lot of volatility recently in 2018 and moving into 2019 with Bitcoin volatility. But the Prime Minister goes on to say, and I quote, "But this, of course, is not reason to bury them in brackets cryptocurrencies. Here there are both light and sides and dark sides in any social phenomenon, in any economics institute, and we should just watch closely what happens to them." So there's obviously goes on to talk about this news which came out of Russia that there was a supposed source saying that the Russians were investing in Bitcoin, and CCN goes on to say the statements come directly after a rumor that major Russian investment in Bitcoin went viral throughout the cryptocurrency news space recently, with numerous media outlets parroting the story that Russia could be purchasing $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. CCN reported the story was likely fake news. The story originated from a tweet made by Russian economists on Twitter that had been exaggerated in the media. So I think below is the tweet, and it said I think they're looking at take global assets values, and they're looking at the massive stocks of gold of 7.7 trillion, and stock markets, and their broad money of 90 trillion, debt, 215 million, real estate 217, and derivatives. And then someone mentioned Chris, I believe, sitting here in Moscow, Russia, that the real factor of Bitcoin adoption will be when Russia government I'm working for will start investing almost $470 billion reserves into Bitcoins. Not the best English. I expect there will be at least $10 billion in the first quarter. So obviously someone tweeted out and obviously people start talking about Russia. Now, regardless of whether this story is true or false, Russia is not going to be isolated in countries looking or even purchasing cryptos, and most notably probably Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. You'd be stupid as a government not to buy up something which has been going up. So they could have been looking at it in 2013, 2014, even 2015, even 2016. They had around 3 years before we had a big bull run, as in a massive bull run for investment. So, the fact that they're talking about it now, and if you look at example when Backed started, going to launch the exchange, they've been looking at it for 4 years. So governments will be looking at it at a similar time. They probably are invested in Bitcoin in terms of, in my opinion, they have bought Bitcoin or they're mining Bitcoin, which means they hold Bitcoin. And Russia's not going to be the only country. I'm sure the other countries are doing it, like the US, the UK, probably UK banks, Russian banks, even countries like North Korea. So North Korea, sorry, South. Yeah, well, actually North Korea. Yes, they've known to be stealing Bitcoin, so possibly mining Bitcoin. South Korea, Japan, they're all going to get on this train of money, and it's money of the day. So regardless of whether there was conversations of whether Russia was going to use Bitcoin as a transfer protocol to other countries like Iran and Syria, or countries with sanctions, they're certainly going to be holding Bitcoin and exchanging in Bitcoin and look to see when the price goes up. If they bought Bitcoin a few years ago and they're expecting a bull run this year, or can help push a bull run with, allowing companies in their country to open up their own exchanges or whatnot, then they're only going to benefit them. So, of course, the prime ministers can talk positively about cryptocurrency and obviously more about Bitcoin than anything else, because they're probably holding it and they need to start promoting off this coin because they need to start making money from it. So the next few years are going to be interesting of which country decides to either ditch its own coin and move on to Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, or use it as a secondary coin. So you can pay in rubles, or you can pay in Bitcoin, or you can pay in instead of in Venezuela or Argentina, they've got hyperinflation and they just scrap their own currency, like they're doing in Venezuela using Dash, and instead they use Dash and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin becomes the first currency for a country. Once one country does it, and it really realizes exchange prices can be low as long as we have Lightning Network and other sort of infrastructure in place, then other countries will follow suit. And it just takes one country or one institute to start this off. So I guess it's more of a watch this space, what's going to happen with Russia, what's going to happen with Bitcoin. But regardless of whether CCN says it's fake news or not, the fact that they're talking about Bitcoin means that they've probably invested in Bitcoin. Rarely does someone talk about something that they have no interest in or they don't hold. So again, I think it's very positive, and we will see what happens with that. And let's move on. That is a few days old, but I wanted to cover it because it's something which is quite interesting. But it's basically long dormant Bitcoin whales resuming activity could rock price action, says what analyst says. So this article talks about wallets which have not been touched for 3 to 6 months, and there's been some activity on it. Also, I don't spend too much time. It's not a massively long article, but they're obviously talking about the fact that there's been an overall supply surge of 40% since last year. So it doesn't really talk about actually how much has been moved over the last couple of weeks. The fact that there are people going back into their wallets, it would be very surprising unless something knows, unless some individuals know something what's going to happen to the price, that there's going to be a major sell-off. People are moving crypto. It's maybe moving from one wallet to another wallet. The article goes on to say basically the number of active Bitcoin wallets, many of which have been long dormant, have seen an uptick that could herald some major market movements. Bloomberg reports 11th of Jan. Bloomberg bases reports on data that analysts from crypto analytics startup Flipside Crypto, which sealed the backing of major crypto exchange Coinbase and veteran crypto venture capital firm Digital Currency Group back in November. According to Flipside, as of October 2018, a high number of long inactive Bitcoin holders, defined as those who haven't transferred Bitcoin for between 6 and 30 months, have begun to transfer their coins, resulting in wallets active over the past month now holding around 60% of the coins circulating in supply. So obviously some massive whales moving money into different wallets. Now, you have to then think, if they want to do a sell-off, wouldn't they just transfer it into something like, if they've got millions, into an exchange, or have to do OTC and just sell it off there without hitting exchange, or if it's not that much, then moving it into something like Bitcoin and transferring it to fiat. Why would you just move and hold? You would move close to the time you're going to sell. So if this has been from October 2018 and we haven't seen high sell-offs or any sort of articles of high sell-offs, then I almost feels like it's a nothing article. I mean, you guys tell me, what do you guys think of this? Does it mean much? Yeah, of course we're going to get sell-offs, huge sell-offs. Now, let's just say you own 100 Bitcoin and Bitcoin moves to $100,000 this year. Then you're going to get movement of people selling maybe half or 60 or 70% of that value. There's a lot of people who are holding out on selling Bitcoin at 100,000, 200,000. So you will always get sell-offs with Bitcoin. Is it gonna go further down? Don't know yet. But if it does go further down, people are not going to be selling off. They're going to be buying more. So people only look to sell on the basis that they're too weak. But you'd expect people who've got millions and billions in Bitcoin just to leave it. And the fact they left it for 30 months now, surely they would have sold it when it hit $10,000 or $8,000 or $6,000. They wouldn't wait until it hits $3,600. They've had a whole year of the price decreasing. So this may actually be a positive news. Maybe people are expecting something to happen with the price, and they're expecting a bit of a surge or a bit of a bull run, and then they can do a bit of a sell-off. Anyway, what do you guys think of this article? Interesting to an extent, I guess. It's nothing major, nothing really telling us in the story which way they think it's going to move, apart from just some market movements. You have to think about it. If for example, Bitcoin hit $500,000 in the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be a lot of sell-off, but the market wouldn't move as much because it'd be a lot more stable in terms of its market cap. For $500,000 Bitcoin, you're probably looking at something like a $6 or $7 trillion market cap. So, but there'll be big sell-offs at then. Half a million Bitcoin, even at 10 Bitcoin, you're looking at a healthy return depending on when you invested originally. But you're looking at 5 million dollar return. So let's just wait and see what happens with this. I don't think there's much. If this has happened in October and prices have been going down, they would have sold in October. So I don't want to make too much of that, but let's move on to the next article. So I don't know if anybody out there has been using Brave. It's a browser created by BAT, which is Basic Attention Token. I downloaded it. I haven't used it that much. I should really use it more, especially the fact that the article actually states crypto-funded Brave browser is about to start paying users to view ads. Now they've got this utility in actually Brave browser where you can turn on Brave rewards. So I'll read the article and then we'll talk about it. Brave browser is an ISO-funded Chrome fork that markets on its aspect for privacy. By default, Brave blocks advertising on the web. Sites are visited a lot automatically have an account created for them in Basic Attention Token, and once their balance reaches a certain threshold, they can cash out these tokens. Today, Brave announced that they're going to introduce their own advertising platform which pays themselves and users. Tokens are worth about 12 cents each at a time of writing. So basically what you need to do is a Brave feature called Brave Rewards allows people to use Brave to contribute BAT to the sites they visit. When someone turns on Brave Rewards, the browser will tally the time and attention they spend on each site and divide up that person's monthly BAT contribution among the sites they visit. Brave ads will allow people to opt in to earn BAT based on their attention. It makes sense, Basic Attention Token. When someone turns Brave ads on, their browser will begin learning the preferences in order to occasional relevant ads as system notifications. So again, rewarding for viewing, and it kind of makes sense. There is a feature already in Brave where you get to do a few steps if you can find an article, and then you're given around 20 or 30 BAT tokens. You can then donate these BAT tokens to people who are listed as advertisers or merchants, and the way is obviously that's how the money will flow through the Brave browser, where you like something, you donate Brave BAT token to an individual. I've used it, and I figured out by following some instructions how to amass 30 BAT. There's a way you can set yourself up as a merchant or an advertiser, and you can reclaim those BAT tokens yourself, and you can transfer them out of the Brave onto Coinbase or Binance or wherever. But if they're going to start doing this properly, and they're going to do it the way that going to reward people for watching videos, then there's a very very good way to get people to use Brave browser. Now for that, I will start using it, because if I'm being rewarded in BAT, even if it's, I don't know, 2 or 3 BAT at a time, or even less, 1 BAT, let's say, if it's at 12 cents, for watching a video, and I had to watch one every hour, every half an hour, and you sat on the computer for a couple of hours, you could possibly make 4 or 5 BAT a day. Let's say you did it every day, and you're making 20 BAT a week. And let's just say in a couple of years' time, BAT was to reach maybe $1 or something like that. Then you're just making, at the time, you were making potentially $20 a week, just really not doing much. I mean, if you're on the internet and you're surfing and you're getting rewarded just for watching some adverts, then it's something I would do. I mean, like I said, I don't really use BAT. I use Chrome, but I would be opting into BAT ads now if that's the case. My only concern is about the privacy regarding, obviously it's meant to be a privacy browser. Start adding ads, and then you start thinking about the privacy side of, am I being monitored, and also is my information safe, I guess. So yeah, I mean, let me know if anybody in the comments, if anyone's actually used the Brave browser consistently or extensively, more than just, for me, I used it for about 5 minutes after downloading it. But yeah, it's an interesting article. Interesting if other sort of cryptocurrencies, sort of companies are going to have websites or browsers, like maybe a Tron browser or something along that line, where you can transact with cryptocurrencies for direct purchases through an app store, or purchasing stuff, and they can link up with sort of other companies, or even within the Brave browser, you've got other cryptos are trying to create social media platforms and video platforms, and whether they can link up with BAT or a number of different currencies. Obviously, for this, it'll have to be BAT because it's their own. But again, it's a good use of a tool. I've not really spoken about BAT on this channel because I'm not that interested in the project up until today by reading this article. There's so many currencies to look at, and BAT is just another one that I don't really spend too much time on. But let me guys know what you think. Have you used BAT? Are you holding BAT? Are you using the Brave? And then we'll move on. So something I wanted to end on was this smiley face. And what is this smiley face? It's Mimblewimble Grin. Now, there's been a lot of talk the last couple of weeks about a new protocol or a new blockchain called Grin. It works on a fundamental called Mimblewimble. So I don't know, I've never watched Harry Potter. I at some point intend to start watching Harry Potter, but not at the moment. But I believe these words are from Harry Potter. Now, Mimblewimble was created by an individual developer or individuals, and it was a foundation of privacy and there's been 2 break-off companies or developers who've created some, it's using the same protocol but 2 different coins, and Grin is one. I'll have to make a whole new video, a separate video about how it works and the fundamentals of it. And the other sort of competitor is called Beam. So it's Mimblewimble Beam and Mimblewimble Grin. Try saying that 10 times very quickly. So what is it? So the idea of Mimblewimble is completely private. So Grin has no amount and no addresses. Transactions can be trivially aggregated to hide where a newly created transaction comes from. It gets relayed previously, a random walk amongst peers. It is public in that. So the way it works is, with Bitcoin, you have a blockchain or a ledger, and it has 4 transactions. There's a person 1 sends to person 2 sends to person 3. Now person 3 has transactions from person 1 and person 2, and then person 3 sends from person 4, and that person has transactions from 3, 2 and 1, and the amounts and the addresses. What the Mimblewimble protocol does is it reduces that sort of ledger size by, for person 4 only seeing person 1 where it's coming from, but on the blockchain there's going to be no addresses and no amounts, so it's fully private. Why am I talking about this today? Because as of yesterday they launched their mainnet. They were on FluNet, which I almost think is like a UAT or a testnet. They've launched their mainnet yesterday, and they are mineable. So you can go to download. At the moment, I believe it's only Mac OS and Linux based downloads. They mentioned there's going to be a Windows one coming, but you can obviously set yourself up with a wallet, and you can download the mining tools. And obviously they talk about which CPUs and which GPUs are going to be profitable. I have not downloaded it yet. I will do it straight after this video. I want to download and see how it works and how long it takes to sync up. Now obviously it's only went live yesterday, so I don't expect the ledger to be too big for that. I just wanted to mention this because it's something new in the market, and there's obviously trading on certain exchanges, which are, I think, DEX exchanges, and obviously the way they work is you're almost offering out or bidding out for how much Grin you want. I think that yesterday it was first mined actually yesterday during the day or last night, so it's obviously gone live and it's fully active. Just be careful about buying Grin and where you're buying from and where you're storing it. At the moment, obviously, it's very new, so only many places where you can purchase it from, and certainly not many places where you can store it. So it's going to be very much locally stored on your own wallet, but be careful of where you're purchasing it from. Like I said, I want to do a whole separate video on a bunch of coins which I've mentioned in the past, but I'm going to kind of drill deep into them, and Grin and Beam are going to be on that sort of conversation list of these potential up and coming coins, and in my opinion, no harm of at some point getting hold of some Grin or trying to mine some Grin. Again, have a look at this. If you guys have a Mac or a Linux based machine, or if not, you can always VirtualBox it or virtualization tool to emulate it, but depending on how it's going to work on that and how you can use graphics cards or CPU usage. But yes, it's a very good, interesting project. I'll link it in the description. Have a read. Tell me what you guys think of the project. I think there was even talk about whether they could dump this protocol onto Bitcoin and then give Bitcoin an option for complete privacy. So very interesting. But I'll leave it as that. I guess what do we expect next few days? We're all kind of waiting on the government shutdown and what's going to happen with that. Once that's lifted, we can get some clarity from CFTC. It's been 24 days now, the shutdown. Nothing's really changed, so I expect more sideways movement of the market and Bitcoin for the next few days. It's Thursday tomorrow, and then we move into the weekend, and nothing's going to happen then. So I expect Sunday we're still going to be sitting around the same sort of mark between 3,600 and a $3,700 Bitcoin. But I've been proven wrong before. But unless something drastic happens in the next couple of days, I don't really see it moving up much. But anyway, let me know what you think, and always please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.